lot of times I'm driving, there's nothing to do, and I shuffle through the radio before I unglue. There's a lot of red on ways, it's traffic, I'm screwed, and I'm wired a bit different than a regular dude. It's not a bad thing, I embrace it, it's true. The radio don't stimulate brain chemistry fluid. The Buddha found nirvana and the Four Noble Truths. Through a meditative process, right action he proved. For me, I require the use of a tool, a detector, pin, pointer, shovel, and beach scoop. I'm meant to work the dirt with my history crew, but everywhere I look, my interest taboo. Most people choose Bieber over Tippecanoe. What does a detectorist listen to when the radio is full of bad music and news? I need an alternative for me to peruse. Beyond Sight and Sound gets fantastic reviews. A metal detecting show where my thought bubble brews. Thank you, Josh Kimmel, for inviting me to a detecting dork out with guests like yours truly.
Are you looking for a high-quality beach and sand scoop? Are you trying to take your hunting to the extreme? How about an American-based company that stands behind their product and everything they sell? Then check out our friends over at XTREME Scoops. John has been making scoops for some time now and makes a quality beach and sand scoop to take your hunting to the next level. XTREME Scoops recently released their new sand shredder that works great in the water and on the beach. And if you're a new Equinox user, you may want to check out his Surfmaster X3 that can trap those small targets you new Equinox users are finding out there. XTREME Scoop's company approach is let's do it right. So do it right, buy it once, and go to the extreme. XTREMEScoops.com. That's XTREME scoops.com.
Caution. Please do not operate motor vehicles or power equipment while under the influence of this show. Listening to this show could cause side effects such as bouts of laughter, violent binges of cabin fever, and even dreams of silver and gold. Please be advised. Now that the fine print is out of the way, on with the show.
All right, we're back and we're live once again. You are listening to Beyond Sight and Sound, metal detecting and treasure hunting radio for all the really cool digging people out there. And as I look into the chat, I see that the Bills are in. Scott from the Nomads chiming in. Travis is in the house. Welcome aboard. Chuck Smalley, the man with the plan. Nelson, Mark, others are dropping through. So welcome aboard to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Obviously, first and foremost, links in the description. Our friends at Shooters and Prospectors, Chuck Smalley, multi-line dealer dealing in XP, Note to Macro, Mine Lab, Garrett, Detector Pro, and more. Also, our friends at DETECTEES.com, Ken, Mark, Darth, Buddy, and the gang doing a great job. Our friends over at XTREME Scoops, TheRingFinders, All Metal Militia, Facebook group and YouTube, Metal Detecting NYC on YouTube. Shout out to Merrill. Also, we have the links for our friends at XP Team USA website, podcast, Facebook group. And as you scroll further down in the description, you will see the links for Ohio Metal Detecting on YouTube, the great Metal Detecting Christmas giveaway that we do here on Facebook, Barb and the gang and myself and everybody else that's involved with that. There's also the link for the big box giveaway on YouTube from B3 Relic Recovery, one of the donations for the Great Metal Detecting Christmas giveaway comes from our friends over there at B3 Relic Recovery. So check that out. Subscribe to his channel. Hit the notification bell. And then the last link is for the massive, and it's huge, XP Detectors giveaway. You can find that information through the link. You can find it it's a pinned post on the Beyond Sight and Sound page. I'm sure it's on the XP Team USA page. It's all over. So that's another one that you may want to check out. It's definitely interesting. They got a lot going on over there. It is a very, very large prize pack. And that's no exaggeration at all. I mean, that's why they're calling it the massive XP Detectors giveaway. It's an ORX. It's a hard case. You'll have to watch the video, read the description, all of that to find out. Or check out XP Team USA's YouTube channel, and you will be able to get the information there. Make sure and read the description for the video, or you may miss how to get yourself entered for that giveaway. And that giveaway will be announced there around the beginning of the year. And speaking of announcements, we've got a lot of announcements coming up from here on out to the end of the month. The biggest one, probably, aside from our guest, is to make sure, if you are not already a member of the Great Metal Detecting Kids Christmas giveaway, you need to go over and get yourself entered if you're trying to get your kids entered. Time is running out. Wednesday at midnight Eastern Time, we will no longer be accepting member requests. It's the same thing we did last year. We shut down member requests before the contests kick off because it's not fair to those that have already been patiently waiting and doing everything that everyone else has been doing, to have someone just come in at the last minute and win. So we shut that membership down as we get close to the giveaways. And those giveaways will begin this coming Friday. So we'll cover it again real quick on Wednesday's show. And then Wednesday at midnight, we're closing it down. No more members will be let in. And at last check, I do believe that we have 167 kids playing. There's going to be a lot of happy kids this year. It's going to be a great weekend. And next Sunday, because we do a recap of the giveaway, next Sunday, 2 machines from the Great Christmas Giveaway. Those winners will be being announced right here on the show live. So, for everyone else, let me see here what's going on. We just had a little bit of a hiccup here. So we've got the Great Metal Detecting Kids Christmas Giveaway going on. And we're getting... Well, let's see here. We're getting a network connection issue. Interesting. Very interesting. So, what we're going to do is, let me look through here real quick while we're trying to connect with the guest. Definitely. And we'll see what we can do. Let me see what I can do here. I will go ahead and we're going to roll one of our clips again. And we'll see if we can get our guest back. We'll be right back. Maybe. What was that? Okay, so we'll see what we can do here. We'll be right back, folks.
A lot of times I'm driving, there's nothing to do, and I shuffle through the radio before I unglue. There's a lot of red on ways, it's traffic, I'm screwed, and I'm wired a bit different than a regular dude. It's not a bad thing, I embrace it, it's true. The radio don't stimulate brain chemistry fluid. The Buddha found nirvana and the Four Noble Truths. Through a meditative process, right action he proved. For me, I require the use of a tool, a detector, pin, pointer, shovel, and beach scoop. I'm meant to work the dirt with my history crew, but everywhere I look, my interest taboo. Most people choose Bieber over Tippecanoe. What does a detectorist listen to when the radio is full of bad music and news? I need an alternative for me to peruse. Beyond Sight and Sound gets fantastic reviews. A metal detecting show where my thought bubble brews. Thank you, Josh Kimmel, for inviting me to a detecting dork out with guests like yours truly.
All right, so we're back after that brief pause there. We actually got the guest back. Wow, how is that for doing things on the fly? That's just the way it goes. The beauty of live broadcasting. So now that we've got everyone back, our guest tonight is actually, well, some of you know him as Ken, some of you know him as Kenneth, but the guest tonight is Ken Arrington, and the last I knew, he's kind of looking forward to talking detecting. He's a little excited. So let's get him in here tonight. How is it going, Ken? Thank you for taking the time to sit down with us tonight.
Well, thank you, Josh. I'm looking forward to talking to you, and I appreciate the chance to talk to others.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a hiccup there, but we rolled right through it. We just steamrolled right over it, actually. I ran another clip and muted everything else, hopefully, so we could get you back in the room here.
All right.
So, I guess for those who may not know, why don't you start off by letting everybody know where you're at? I guess you don't have to be real specific if you don't want to be. You know, sometimes a little anonymity on location is handy. And how you got started, how long you've been doing this.
Well, Josh, I'm down in Central Florida, and I'm probably 20 miles from Daytona Beach. I'm a member of a couple clubs, Central Florida Metal Detecting Club and Dig and Find in Daytona. And I've been detecting for roughly 25 years. Started out with White's machines, went through to Soros, and currently Mine Labs. I'm a sole Mine Lab hunter right now.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I've certainly ran through my fair share of some Mine Lab machines myself. They're great machines.
Yes, they are. Currently, I'm using a CTX 3030, and I don't see where I need to upgrade anything. It's been an outstanding machine for me.
Well, I can say, based on what I've seen from your posts of finds, and especially recently another, that nice $1 gold coin, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely.
It seems to be working quite well, and being the location that you're in, I'm sure you know as well as I, the CTX is a very good machine that can be versatile for any environment, whether you're on dirt, whether you're on the dry sand, wet sand, or even salt or fresh water.
That's correct. I have only used two programs, actually. I've had the machine for 4 years. I set up a standard beach program that I like, and I have one for a coin program. And I've never deviated other than running wide open as much as I can to stay stable. And it works for me. You just have to run slow and listen to the deep targets. And those are going to be the good ones. You know, if you're looking for gold rings, you have to slow down and you have to listen to the whisper targets.
Absolutely. You couldn't have said it better. And I'm sure that you know as well, coming from back in the day using White's machines and everything. I've tried to explain this to some newer people in the hobby, I guess you could say, that they jump right into mine labs. And mine labs are machines that to maximize their performance and their depth, you have to go slow. If you think you're going slow, you need to slow down because you're probably not going slow enough. Whereas back in, say, when you were using Whites, I saw some Whites users that they might as well have been bushwhacking.
Right.
You got to swing some of them older machines fast.
That is correct. I've learned the biggest thing that I've learned in detecting is when you're hunting a location, you have to understand what might have been before. If you see a home that says 1980s, 1960s, you need to look what was there before. Usually the older homes were destroyed by fire or taken down for some other reason.
Yep, and they built right over them.
Absolutely. And I've found more 1800s coins on properties that had 1970 houses on them.
Exactly. Yeah, very good point. I like to call those sleeper sites. Absolutely. When you look at them, if you just drive by on the road and you look at them, it's easy to assume, oh, well, I've got no interest in silver Roosevelt dimes, so what am I going to do wasting my time there? I want the old coins. And a lot of times people don't even stop to think that there could have been something there prior to that. That's a lot of times hunting in towns, especially older towns. The curb strips are nice too for making those old finds. And I find that a lot of times in the older towns, it seems to have a pattern. The corner lots have more activity.
I agree with you.
So if you can find those good corner lots, even though it looks like it may be a newer house, do your research, see if something else was there prior to it. And it's usually not that far-fetched to, if you can date a property, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to have a good potential of finding coins that date at least 20 or 30 years before it.
That is correct. I have hunted homes that were in the 60s that I pulled coins and relics from World War I, 1800s, back as far as 1830s. I mean, and you have to run slow. My biggest goal that I look for when I look at a site is the first thing I want to find is iron. If you can find old iron, you're in the right location.
Exactly. I've seen some people, especially if you get into a concentrated area, they're like, oh, I just can't stand all this racket. But that's where I want to be, because iron shows occupation. Iron shows activity. Iron will lead you into the prime area.
That's correct.
And you can, a lot of people, they'll use the iron to even help date the site. You can tell a lot from a nail. Absolutely.
That is correct. I look for a lot of axe heads. Axe heads are good indicators of age. Nail heads, farm equipment, utensils, anything like that can date a site and give you a good idea on, is it going to be a productive site or not? Do I need to move on?
Absolutely. Very good point. So, how did you get into the hobby? You've been doing this now, you said, 25 years?
Yes, sir. I started with a friend. I started with a White's machine, hunting parks like every new person does, volleyball courts, yards, found my first gold ring, and that's usually what gets you hooked.
Well, that's what hooked me.
My first gold ring was actually found in my yard. So that got me started young. I started to help find lost items for people, got into the clubs, started hunting the beach more, started to learn how to read a beach, read the sand, read the tides, read the surf.
Right,
all these
read the cuts, follow the tides, because especially when you're talking coastal water hunting, it is a game of tides.
Yes, it is. As far as parks, I stayed out of the parks fairly quickly. I learned that to find the old areas, I searched more for the iron. So I proceeded to go more into the woods, started doing a lot of research, historical researching, talking to historians in towns, surrounding towns. And that helped a lot. I always like to donate to the museums. Anything I found historical value, I would prefer to have it in a museum for others to see than, have in my collection. So that's a big goal of mine.
Nice.
Returning items is really big. Class rings, family heirlooms, things like that.
I'm big on that myself as well. I mean, it's just a great thing to do, and as well as I do, we're going to find plenty more. We're going to find those items that can't be returned, that if we give back a few rings or whatever, we still got plenty of others that look great in our display box.
Absolutely. A good time was for everybody actually in Central Florida. Was last year. We had storms come through, no major hurricanes, but we had 10 feet or so of sand moved off the area beaches.
Well, so there you go.
Well, we had ground exposed that hasn't been exposed in 40, 50 years, possibly. Myself, I took 1 month off of my employment, studied the beach on a daily basis, hunted every day on the beach, and I produced $25,000, $30,000 worth of gold, silver, diamonds, and silver coins, dating back to the 20s, and a lot of walking liberties, bends, a lot of Merc dimes, and these are things that have been sitting on the beach for, 70, 80 years, and it just took the right storm to expose those for us.
Right, yeah, especially with beach hunting, the environment is constantly changing, and a lot of those things were just buried so far down, you couldn't really get to them, but it sounds like it was a good month for you.
It was a good month for several members that I hunt with. It was a bonanza for a while.
No, I'm sure.
Back.
I'm sure, yeah. You guys, especially with you being big on the beach hunting, you're probably just sitting back watching, just waiting for that next big cut.
Absolutely. I had one cut that I produced 8 gold rings out of one 10 by 10 area. And also there was a dog tag from World War II that I returned to a soldier's wife. The soldier had passed, but it had sat on Daytona Beach for 70 plus years, and it was returned.
Very cool
a lot of
story.
Like that. Yeah.
Nice. We had actually Barb had the opportunity to return a dog tag. I want to say a year or so ago.
Right.
It was a very cool experience for her, and that's the thing I tell people a lot of times. I mean, I get it. I understand the whole finders keepers and all of that,
sure.
But I usually tell people, at least do it once for the experience.
Absolutely.
After that, if you want to keep it and sell it or whatever, well, to each their own. But I'm sure that if you do it once and at least have that experience, see that expression on that person's face, you find yourself wanting to do it again and again and again.
Absolutely. We have a lot of members in our club, and that is a high priority as far as us go as a club. We do a lot of evidence searches with the local law enforcement, a lot of ring recoveries, and everything that has to do with, the public. We try to encourage, proper etiquette when digging, fill your holes. And we have a great bunch of people, and, they'll give a handout anytime they can, and that's one thing I really enjoy about the club is, you have a lot of friends that you meet. They have the same goals you have, and it's really fun when you have another member find something. Me personally, I've been very blessed with what I found, but I get a lot of enjoyment seeing other members find things also. It doesn't have to be just me. I get just as much joy when they find something, historical or has value or can return an item. That's why I do what I do.
Oh, absolutely. I would have to agree. I mean, I'm sure Chuck would agree as well. Many of the rest of us in the chat. The community as a whole, we're a very giving, friendly, helpful community, and we like to see others be successful.
Absolutely.
Whether that's a return or helping with law enforcement, many of us are more than willing to help do what we can. And
right.
Let's face it, I mean, for some of the publicity that we get, our hobby needs all the good light we can shine on it.
That is correct. We still have a lot of negative feedback. You're always going to have others that, need to be educated better.
Yeah.
But you do what you can, and, you just try to do the right thing, fill in holes if somebody doesn't, just there's small things you can do to help the field, and help the hobby. And
right.
I've met so many wonderful people, through all my years, I've met hundreds and hundreds of really nice people, that any other way I would have never even had a chance to meet, so I've thoroughly enjoyed the hobby itself.
Absolutely. I would have to agree that, I've made some nice finds out there in terms of jewelry or tokens or coins, just like you have, but I tell people my best finds are the connections we make, the friends that we make in the hobby.
Absolutely.
I mean, those are where the memories come from. The tangible finds, they come and go. Maybe you sell them, maybe you lose them, maybe unfortunately they're stolen or something like that. But you always have the memories and the friendships and adventures that last a lifetime.
Right.
And I see where Mark was saying in the chat, you found the gold coin, but he got to take the photo.
That's correct. That was a very interesting hunt. I hunted with a new group, and it was Digging Georgia Live, and it was their very first seeded hunt, actually. And I went to the hunt with several other members. Met a bunch of wonderful people there. I mean, it was an outstanding hunt. Historical property. I believe it was a 1720 carriage house property. Had some encampments of Civil War encampments on the site. And it was a seeded hunt. And actually, a hunter had a target that couldn't be located. And I was asked to come over and take a look. And it ended up being they were chasing a underground power line.
No.
So,
well, it's a good thing they couldn't locate it.
Yeah, exactly. So I proceeded to walk probably 10 feet, got a very nice, solid 1209 on the CTX at 8 inches. So I immediately figured gold ring. I never would have thought coin. I was thinking ring. So I proceeded to take a nice plug, separated the plug, and it was a 1873 $1 Princess Head gold coin, and in great condition, and it was whole. So if somebody had it, yeah,
it was in good shape, and I'll bet that was quite a surprise when you cracked that plug and saw that.
It was amazing, because when I took out the plug, it actually had the impression on both sides of the coin in the clay. And the coin fell right out, and I was just looking at it, just dumbfounded, like, is that a gold coin I'm looking at? And I asked a couple hunters to come over, and they're like, yeah, that's a gold coin. So yeah, so it was very funny. The nice gentleman that put on the hunt had been telling everybody that they had planted a gold coin on this hunt. So I proceeded to find Scott, and he's like, no, we never planted a gold coin. We were just kidding. I said, well, I just found a gold coin. And he's like, are you serious? And I showed him, and it was an amazing find.
Yeah, you can clearly tell from the photo that you posted that if that was a planted gold coin, it was planted a long time ago.
Right. Yep. Yeah, it was a solid 8, and yeah, it was in Georgia clay, so yeah, it was definitely not a planted. But it was prior to the Civil War, so I'm thinking it was more of maybe a traveler that might have been at the carriage house, and they had it on a string, and it was just lost.
That would make sense. Unfortunate for them, but a very nice find. And I see in the chat that you were actually the top hunter last year for the Central Florida Metal Detecting Club.
Yes, I was. Yep, I had the honor of having some really good finds, and it's a lot of work.
Yes,
but I find a lot of joy in it, and yeah, it's very gratifying. And like I said, the club has always been outstanding. I have nothing but good things to say about the club and all the members. And yeah, it's an honor to be able to do it.
Nice, definitely great group of people down there. The Central Florida Metal Detecting Club, one of the largest too.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
I mean, you guys got a lot of hunters down there in that area. Competition's kind of fierce, isn't it?
Yes, it is. On the beach, yeah, it's like an Equinox Central there. You have a lot of competition, but yeah, the Equinoxes are thick, great machines, and so I just kind of wore it out with those, and but I still do quite well. So good luck to them, and I'm sure they find their share of treasures also.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they do. It's still not a CTX, but it does have its pros.
I agree with you 100%.
That's not to. I mean, when the I think it was shortly after or as the Equinox was being released, there was a lot of talk that it was going to topple the Deus, it was going to topple the CTX, and that's. I mean, you can't compare machines in those price points like that.
Right. It's well, I'll tell you, I've experienced using the Equinox, and it is a lightning fast machine. It has great separation.
Yes, it does.
But is separation needed on the beach? I say no. I say I would take depth over separation. So
yeah, especially on your beaches.
Yes. So I prefer the CTX. I believe it's a deeper machine. And you'll have members that will disagree, and that's fine. Right. It's a great machine. The Equinox is a great machine. I would never say anything bad about it. But me personally, I prefer the CTX.
Right, and I'm a big fan of the CTX myself. It's just a little cumbersome for me to swing. What's your coil of choice out on the beach?
I'm still using the stock coil. I use the 11-inch. And in the woods, I usually run the 6-inch. I've never really had a reason to upgrade to the 17. It's just too big and bulky for me. And you will cover more ground, but I don't see a real advantage, to wear over the stock coil. At least in my eyes, I don't see it.
Well, and it's been my experience, especially in that price range for a coil. There's not a lot of advantage. I mean, maybe in my area it wasn't there to be found, but prior to the CTX, I was running an E-Track with an Ultimate 13 coil, and I had no problem digging silver coins at 12, 13, 14 inches deep. and I just really didn't feel like I was gaining that much more depth with the 17-inch coil on the CTX.
And I don't believe you do. If you're a conscious hunter and you really study and you take your time and you slow down, the stock coil is plenty of coil.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to run and gun, and there are several out there, I gladly just slow down, let them go right on by, and I'll just pick up things that they miss. And but no, for new hunters, they don't need to go to the large coils. I think you would be better off just learning the machine, slow down, use the stock equipment. It works fine. And if you decide you need to upgrade, then you upgrade. But save your money, and learn your machine. That's the first thing you need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I would have to agree. I mean, aftermarket coils are nice, but those stock coils, that's why they come stock with the machine. They're going to be the best for overall general performance.
I agree.
And that's time spent with the machine. The better you know your machine, that's invaluable out in the field. You could have the best equipment in the world, and if you don't know what you're doing with it, somebody's going to come by and mop the floor with you with what you may perceive to be an inferior machine, but they know the machine that well.
That's correct. And like I say, Josh, when I got the machine, there's a million programs you can put into these machines. I didn't see where it was needed. I set up a program I liked for beach, which has basically very little iron blocked out, wide open screen. I run it as hot as the machine will run stable, slow down, and I've never had to make any changes. I run a combined on the sensitivity. I run a combined on tones. And it works really well for me. It's the name of the game is you need to slow down. You just going wide open is just not the answer for the beaches.
Right. So I take it that you may not necessarily be like some people with the CTX. They're like a 3 or a 5-tone hunter. You're a multi-tone hunter.
I'll run the 5-tone. I'll run the combine. And it works really good. It gives me the iron, and then it gives me all the conductives, and it works really good for me. Some they don't like the combined, but with me liking iron the way I do, I find a lot of deep gold down in that iron band where this the old iron is starting to crumble, and you're getting the halo effect. Right. So I find a lot of gold down in that range, and that combined does help, me locate that stuff.
Absolutely. Definitely. Are you a big fan with running the CTX? Do you like the feature of the screen being able to tell there's multiple targets under the coil? Yeah, I do. I go by tone a lot, but there you go.
Yeah, if you have multiple, I like the target trace. That helps a lot. Very rarely have to use a pinpoint. On the beach, it's just not necessary. If you can manipulate the coil, you can find the target basically and get it down to where pinpoint's not needed.
Right.
And it's some targets. I pull a lot of gold actually on an iron tone. When it's deep, a lot of gold will come in as an iron tone. So
yes, it will, especially if it's deep.
Your irons. Yes, you have to dig your irons. If it's a questionable hit, you need to dig that target.
Absolutely. And, there again, especially on the saltwater beaches, because a lot of times I'm sure you've pulled your fair share of the cookie coins.
Yes, I have.
and as well as I do, that's going to skew not only the tone, but the VDI.
That's right. And, not all targets are going to be flat. You're going to have coins on edge.
Yeah, the orientation of it.
I've pulled class rings that come in as a penny. I've pulled class rings that come in as iron. I've pulled silver coins, Walker halves that have come in actually as an iron target, but it was also 16 inches down. And once you take a few scoops off, it'll start giving you a better indication on what the target is.
Yeah, the audio starts to clean up.
Yeah, and I think that's a big misconception on people, and I think it's a false security having a screen, because a lot of people will walk right by an iron hit because the machine says iron, but they don't take the time to look at the screen, 90 degree the target, come in from a different direction. You can't just go one direction. If you do, you're going to bypass a lot of valuable targets. And so I always go at one direction, 90 degree from another. It gives you a much better understanding of what you're looking at. And
absolutely, it does. Definitely. That's some of the newcomers to the hobby, and I don't know how many times we've mentioned it on the show here, because much like you, I hunt primarily by audio. People that put too much faith in their VDIs and their screens, they're missing targets. So sometimes the best thing they can do is just not pay attention to that screen.
Or buy a machine that does not give you that false security. I run a lot of Tesoros, and I use them for relic hunting, and they're one of the most outstanding relic machines they are. And no screen, no display. It's all tone, and I think a new person should try a machine that doesn't have a display, and I think they'll get a better understanding of how a detector actually works. And
right, yeah, you see a lot of times, especially for the people that have been in the hobby a number of years, the people that come up from the older Whites machines and things of that nature, that they do, even now with the advantage of the screens, audio wins over VDI.
Yes, it does.
And I think for some of them, that's simply because that's the style that they accustomed to. They got to pay in more attention to the audio because that's all they had. And in the long run of things, it does make you a better hunter.
I agree. Yep, I agree with that completely. But, the times are, and technology, that's what the machines are coming with now. So you need to just read your manuals and study the surroundings. And I can't say go slow enough times, because that's what works for me. It always has. And I think if you will take the time to slow down, and instead of going a half a mile down the beach, work 100-yard area, and you will find a lot more targets. It's just, that's what you have to do on the beach.
Yeah, absolutely. You will be just as productive many times in that 100-yard area as you would be if you rushed 100 feet or so down the beach. You just got to slow down. And we've got a caller on. How's it going, Chuck?
Pretty good, Josh. Pretty good. I don't get to hunt saltwater beaches much. I've hunted them, I've dove, that kind of stuff. But he was saying that his first machines were Whites. I just wondered what he started with, and the Tesoro made a great straight unit. And excuse me, today's VDIs, we find that we start looking at numbers and walking away. I know people will walk away from numbers that skew a little bit, and they're leaving a lot of stuff behind.
Yes,
and he's correct. I have a lot of guys over the years with the Mind Labs, they became tone hunters, because they could tell just by a change in tone that just even a squeak in it at a depth, they were going to dig it. They didn't care what the numbers meant.
Yeah, especially with the E-Tracks and even some of the Explorers.
Right.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
So you were wondering
I wondered what your first Whites was. Which model?
It was a coin hunter. It was just one of the old miners type. I've actually got it at a pawn shop, and I think I paid $20 for it.
There you go. Did you get like a Coin Master? I started with a Coin Master 4 straight unit. all you had a gauge that you could watch it, but you listened for that whisper of a target. You hoped you had something down there that wasn't either tinfoil, pull tabs, or bottle caps.
That's correct. Most people thought
sometimes that whisper turned out to be gold rings and that kind of stuff. But like you were saying, we've tied ourselves to numbers. And in England this past year, numbers literally over there mean nothing.
Oh, yeah, you can throw that out the door.
And people haven't hunted like that here. And they, like I say, I've got my favorite machine's still the 3030. I use an Equinox, and it's done well. E-Trax, Explorers, the SE Pro, the SE, all the way back. I've been using my lab for a long time and been selling them for quite a while. And each one starts to, you get hung up on numbers. And in the iron range, when I'm looking for, now going north and going into Alaska and Wyoming and places in California, I've detected gold. You get a lot of iron gold object. In other words, you'll get actually gold that is tainted with iron all around it, and you won't get quite the signal that you're expecting, but you dig it anyway and you come up with a nugget. I've had nuggets that are just covered in iron.
That's correct.
Makes sense.
So, then you moved to Tesoro, but what was your first mine lab?
My first mine lab was actually an E-Track.
No, you started with an E-Track.
Yes, I love the E-Track, and the E-Track really made me a much better hunter using the CTX 3030. If you can understand what the E-Track is telling you, the 3030 was a much easier machine to master, I believe.
That's a good point. There was not much of an acclimation period at all if you switched over from an E-Track. It was just, for me, it was just trying to get the CTX to have that signature E-Track silver sound.
That's right. That's right.
That took a little bit.
Yeah, and there's some bells and whistles on that 3030 with target trace and the ID that it has and other features that you can work with and arrange the tones to your ear. That machine is just awesome, and I like the Equinox. I use the Equinox a lot, and that's all I used in England. I mean, and I got an 18063 Guinea gold out of that trip. So, but that wasn't any looking at any numbers. It just gave me that right tone. My lab, if you get around gold,
my lab has kind of a signature sound when you get it over gold.
If you learn that cutoff sound, you're pretty much going to be over a gold target.
That is absolutely true. I had a gentleman that had lost his gold wedding band while he was doing concrete at his home. And I searched for 2 hours, and I kept explaining to him that I'm waiting to hear the right tone. And he could not understand what I was trying to explain to him. So I almost gave up, and then I stuck my coil actually up under the slab, and I got that telltale gold tone. And I actually handed the gentleman my headphones, and I said, "This is the tone I want to hear." And I stuck my arm under there, and I pulled his gold ring out. So,
fine job. Fine job. Now, have you found yourself being able to kind of ID the different gold from 9 on up to 18, 24, 18 to 22 karat? You're down on the beach. You get a range of gold that's wider than a lot of other places, especially in certain areas on certain beaches.
Well, there's so many variations in gold. You have shapes, you have ring thickness, you have carats, how deep. It's hard to decide and decipher a carat. Now, I've dug ribbon gold from the Treasure Coast that probably came off the 1715 fleet. It come in like a standard gold target. I think it's more conductivity. I think with the CTX, I've dug gold. Most of my gold rings are 1204s, 1202, but I've also dug gold large men's rings that come up into 1230s. So there's really, there's no way to really tell exactly.
Especially 14 karat.
Yeah, it's very, very hard to do. There's different alloys in the gold. Yeah, it's, a lot of gold, they'll mix silver with it nowadays. The older stuff was easier, but the newer stuff, there's new alloys they're using. And so it's, you have to dig everything. I mean, that's my goal. That's how I do things. I dig everything. Especially in
your cut in places like what you're hunting. If you're getting a grunt of a tone, you want to dig it.
You need to dig it.
Just wondered if you had developed an ear to certain types of gold. I found one thing that the Equinox does better than the 3030, and that is on the tiniest gold chain and earrings. Hammers them.
Oh, yeah, them little earrings will drive you nuts trying to track them down.
It just hammers them. I've never found that many gold post earrings with a 3030.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Now, one thing I have noticed on gold chains with the CTX, they will come in as an iron. I don't know why they do. Yes, but they will come in as an iron, and if you come in at a 90 degree on that, you will get a small chirp, and that's a good indicator that you need to dig that iron target. And I have dug several gold chains that have come in as iron, so you need to be very careful and slow when you get the irons, because I have dug a lot of jewelry that does come up with an iron signature.
Very good. Them chains ain't real easy to find for a lot of people.
They're tough.
That's cool. Well, I'm headed to Mexico this winter for a week.
All right. Good luck.
But I'll be on the beach. I am not that of an astute, just standard beach hunter like you guys. I get down there once in a while on salt water. Now, on the river beaches, I can dig you more aluminum nuggets than you've ever seen in your life.
Yeah, I bet.
Some guys throw beer cans on the fires along the beaches on the river. The water comes up, and they just move along there. And my God, they sound like a silver coin all day long.
All
day long.
They sound
so you can't pass them.
Yep, you got to dig
them.
Absolutely.
I've had some good luck on some of the beaches. Just keep digging those, and up will come a silver quarter or silver ring, or I mean, they even read the same. It drives you insane.
Yes.
But thanks for your time, and good show, by the way. I'll back out of here. I just wanted to question if you had developed an ear for particular tones on the gold.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of variations. Most gold will give you a really solid low, but if you get anything, if you get on the beach and you're getting 1202s, there's going to be a lot of foil. It's just the nature of the beast, but you got to dig it. I mean, you might, because the one you don't dig is going to be the one you should have dug. And that's just a philosophy.
You may dig a
little. Walk away and leave it, and then you think, if you did, you think, I probably should have dug that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you may dig a lot of.
Have a great night. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for
all right. Take care.
Take care. Talk to you later, Josh. Bye bye.
And you may have a lot of tinfoil and cigarette wrappers and can slaw, pull tabs, things like that you're digging up. But once you hit that gold ring, it usually makes all them pull tabs before it well worth it.
Yeah, I had a member, good friend of mine, and she was walking by 1202s, and I dug a gold ring, and she asked, well, what did it come up as? And I said, it's a 1202. I dig every single one. And she's like, I never dig 1202s. And I'm like, well, you need to start digging 1202s. And
and that's,
she does now, and she's finding gold rings now.
I was going to say, and that's what I hear from a lot of people that don't find gold. They're like, well, how do you do it? What are you finding? And it's, well, basically, we're looking for pull tabs and stuff, because that's right there in the same range. And, some people don't like to dig that stuff. I'm okay with digging the pull tabs. It cleans them out of the area.
Okay with not digging it.
Yeah.
That's right.
It cleans them out of the area so you can get to those gold rings, and then I just bring the pull tabs home, clean them up, and donate them to charity anyway.
Absolutely. That's correct.
It's a kind of a win-win. We clean up the environment, we get the gold, and the charity still gets something too.
That's absolutely correct. Yeah, it's a great sport. I really do. You know, a lot of people call it a hobby, but to me, I mean, it's a lifestyle to me. I mean, I've been doing it for so long, and I enjoy it. And you know, one day they're going to dig a hole for me, and until that day, I'm going to keep digging holes and finding what's in it and covering them up.
Right, keep digging them on your own that way. Do you ever?
That's right.
I've ran across this a few times, and it's definitely not one of my fun things to find at all. But I have had a few occurrences where I just want to kick somebody because I find pull tab jewelry.
Right.
Have you ever ran across any of that on the beaches?
No, usually what we get is people will cut pennies or they'll wrap them in aluminum foil, or they'll scatter hundreds of them, cut pennies. And that's the things we have to deal with is you get homeowners, condo owners, and they don't want you digging behind their beach. So
right.
Yeah,
so they throw it out to discourage
quite
you.
a bit. Oh yeah, they'll sabotage you. But once you learn your tones, and you can basically eliminate those, you know, and it gets their goats when you go by because you don't figure it out their little game, and you just keep motoring on. You know, people are going to be people, so no sense getting upset about it. And you know, if you're going to be a beach hunter, prepare yourself for being asked a lot of questions because a lot of people are curious. What are you doing? You know, and it's I enjoy it. You know, sometimes I go the other direction, but you know, I meet a lot of interesting people. You know.
With the amount of beach and water hunting that you do, I gotta ask, what is the strangest thing you've been asked on the beach or in the water?
I've actually had people think I was using a Geiger counter. You know, I mean, they have no clue what a metal detector is, and they'll look at you and say, "You're digging for what?" You know, and you'll explain to them, and they're amazed by it. But the standard question you're going to be asked on the beach is, what's the best thing you've ever found? You're going to be asked that thousands of times if you beach hunt. And
right.
You just got to be polite. You know, water hunting, nobody bothers you in the water. A lot of people don't know, but most gold finds are going to be in the water. I mean, you have to look, why are they going to be in the water?
Right.
If you have a woman with a ring, she goes in the water, suntan lotion on her hand, your fingers shrink. What happens? The ring's coming off. And
it slides right off, and they don't even notice.
Don't even notice. So, yeah. You know, I do feel bad for people, and I have returned some beautiful rings. But, you know, 9 out of 10 rings, you're not going to have an owner. You're not going to be able to locate an owner. So,
right. There's just not enough information there.
Yeah, so enjoy it, you know, give it to a loved one, you know, save it for a retirement fund. You know, that's the downfall of it, you know, but you know, if people are willing to wear their stuff on the beach, you know, that's what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's a hazard of beachgoers, basically. If you're going to wear it, you're running the risk of losing it.
Yes. And I've found a lot of heirlooms that were very special to somebody, you know.
Yeah,
and
very tragic losses for them.
Oh, tragic! It's tragic loss, but you know, that's what happens. So, you know, I tell everybody, enjoy it. You know, I mean, you were destined to find it, so you know, enjoy your bounty.
It's in your pouch or your display now. I was out water hunting a couple of years ago. And I actually had a kid working his way over to me, and he was kind of hollering, wanting my attention. And as he got closer, finally I turned around and I asked him, I said, what do you want? Because hey, mister, hey. And when I finally turn around and ask him what he wants, he asks me, are you looking for fish? how do you answer a kid like that? So I'm like, yep, you got me. Yeah, I am. And he turns around, he's so happy, he's hollering to his friends, I was right, he's looking for fish. And he went away. Well, about 20 minutes later, I happen to hear this ruckus up on the shore, and there's this kid just jumping up and down, waving his arms, hollering, hey, mister, I found the fish, they're over here.
Yeah, I love to give kids, when I find just the toy rings or the junk rings, you'd be amazed how happy a small child is. You know, you give them something, you can give them a quarter and tell them that you found treasure, and they just light up, you know, over a simple quarter, you know, and they'll run to their parents and say, that man right there just gave me some treasure, and it's nothing but just a basic quarter. But you know what? That just made that kid the happiest kid in the world right then, you know, and that's the fun part.
And
you know?
you never know the interest that you may spark in these kids, that maybe you just got the next young digger into the hobby.
Absolutely. I have 3 granddaughters. One of them, she's already swinging at 8, and she loves doing it. And I have detectors sitting in the closet ready for the others as soon as they get old enough to do it. So. And
well, that's great. Get them started early. That's for a lot of the people that are truly out there having fun and enjoying the hobby. Usually, if they have any regret at all to mention, it's that they didn't get started sooner.
No, yes, I'm one of them. Yeah, I wish I did it. I wish I did it in the '60s, you know. But yeah, I'm very thankful and blessed for what I've found and the friendships I've made, and it's just been a great hobby for me. It's kept me alive. You know, I mean, I had a heart attack, major heart attack last year while I was hunting in the woods, and I was with one of the members, and I crawled out of the woods, you know, and doctors told me, you know, you shouldn't have survived this. You know, you should have died in those woods. So. I'm better now. I had stents put in. You get a new understanding of life.
Yes, it does put things in a completely different perspective.
It does. It changed me, hopefully for the good. I was back in the woods a month after I got out of the hospital. You know, I wanted to get back to it, and ever since, I've just been hitting it as hard as I can.
Nice. And, you know, probably good therapy for the recovery.
Absolutely. It keeps me active, you know. It's hot in the summer, and you got to be careful. You know, Florida heat, it'll get you. So,
very good point.
Yeah, I run and gun with the best of them.
Well, with you doing, you know, ring returns and volunteering for evidence searches and stuff like that, I know a number of us, a lot of times we kind of have that, you know, we could make a number of returns, but we always have some of those that are just really special to us for some reason. What's one of your most memorable returns to you, or really kind of hit you?
The most special return I've ever made was the dog tag.
Nice.
And the reason that was for me was because veterans need something good for them. Okay.
Yes,
and I felt really good being able to have friends help me search out this widow. And, when I first talked to her, she thought I was crazy. She thought I was a scam. And I asked her, I said, well, she was 90. So I asked her, I said, could you please have your son call me? I spoke with the son. I explained what I had. We met, and it was wonderful, you know. And she says she remembered the day he lost that tag. He was playing football on the beach at the boardwalk right after he got back from the South Pacific, where he was, you know, in the Army. And, it was 70-something years later, and she had it back in her hands. So that was probably the most special, you know, find I've ever had.
That had to have meant the world to her.
It was amazing.
Very, very, very commendable of you to do.
Well, thank you.
Very nice. I mean, it's great when people are able to do things like that. I've got a return that's kind of special to me that I've got video of that I usually share. A lot of people have seen it, but it'll go out again here in about 2.5, 3 weeks, somewhere around there. It was a ring recovery. They had actually asked me on Father's Day if I could locate it, and I was able to find it, and they kept it quiet from the owner and wound up wrapping it up and giving it back to him as a Christmas gift.
Nice. Yeah, that's the fun part.
Yeah, they were nice enough. They were very gracious. They were nice enough to record it so that I could see his reaction and share it with everyone. And he was very confused at first.
I bet. Yeah. Yeah, that's the fun part of the sport. I mean, I love finding things, but I'll tell you, like I said before, I get just as much enjoyment having one of my fellow hunters find something really nice, because I like to be able to get pictures of it, and it's just it's fun, it's awesome, and I've been blessed with enough stuff, if I never found anything else, I'd be quite content with it. But it's just really nice when somebody you're hunting with pulls something really nice, it's really an awesome thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's a gold ring, a gold coin, or even a relic, a piece of history, I just want to see it come out of the ground.
Absolutely. That's it.
Well, we've had you on here for quite a while with our hiccup, but we do have one more call coming through. Let me see if I can pull them in.
All right.
I think I got them. Maybe I got them. I don't know where they went. We'll have to see what happens here. No, I don't think we've got them. But we'll see. We'll see. If they call back, I will work them in one way or the other. I might have missed it, but
right.
If they call back, we will try to get them back in. One way or the other, we'll try to pull that off before we get out of here, because I think that person would actually like to cover a few things with you.
Right.
So I guess while I am working on trying to pull them back in, maybe you would like to let people know. Yeah, I'm not getting them. My lines are locked up for some reason. Any pieces of advice for newcomers coming into the hobby that may have made things easier if you had known when you got into the hobby?
The best thing that a new detectorist can do is you do not have to spend $1 million on a piece of equipment to find nice, valuable treasures. Save your money, get a basic model detector, learn the detector, learn to go slow, learn to listen to any kind of variations, whispers, and you will be a much better hunter in the future. And when you have mastered that machine, then you can always upgrade to a better machine. But most people go out and buy the most expensive machines. They do not put in the time to understand what it's telling, and then they end up just getting out of the hobby altogether. And that's just, if they would have took their time, they would have enjoyed it much more. And that's things I didn't learn at the start. I was just like everybody else, and I started wide open running down the beach. And you learn as you get older, you slow down, and just like your body slows down, you need to slow down. So.
Yeah, I mean, this is a hobby where slow is a good thing, and we do have a familiar voice on here for you. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Ken, I just had to call in and say hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Ken and I haven't met, but that's going to change. I'll see you in February.
But he does like his mermaid.
Oh, I love it. Love my mermaid. I'm looking at it right now, Barb. It's actually sitting less than 2 feet away from me.
Well, I am glad you're happy with it. There was a lot of pain and love in making that.
That is the most beautiful mermaid I've seen. I'll tell you, you did outstanding work. You know, right when I seen you had made it, I had to have it. So that's why I got hold of you. I just had to have it.
And he did have high remarks about it before the show, too.
Well, I'll tell you, when he asked me, I put it off for weeks and weeks going, I'm not that crazy. And then once I started,
yes, you are.
I couldn't. And what was worse is when somebody said, can you make me one of those? And I'm like, the first one was painful. I don't know about another.
Well, my granddaughter loves mermaids, and I had got the flower picture from you, and then I said, you know, I'm going to ask Barbara if she can make a mermaid for my granddaughter. And when I seen what you did, I said, that's amazing. So I had to have that.
Well, and it's funny because when I posted the first pic, you were like, that looks like my mermaid, and I'm like, yeah, we'll see how it ends up, though.
That's because everybody else was diving on it.
The minute I posted it, I had people PMing me how much. I'm like, sorry, that was a commission. The person that asked if I could do it gets first dibs. So sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I knew it was going to be really popular, and that's why I told you, I said, I have to have that.
At least you've got the notoriety of having the first.
I have the Barb original. Yep.
And it's really the best. And it's out of all the ones I've done, it is the best. Because I just think that first one, you just look for perfection.
Right.
And after that, it's like, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a mermaid. But, yep, I treasure that. But, yeah, it's actually sitting less than 2 feet away from me. I'm sitting here looking at it right now. And it's amazing. It's amazing work. You do outstanding work.
Well, I appreciate that. And I think you're a great guy. And, you know, I know going through your heart stuff and all that, we've become friends, and it's been great to get to know you. It'll be better to meet. And,
yes, it has.
Even if we don't find a lot at the Florida hunt, the friends and the time is going to be great. But
right, diggers make the memories.
Away from stay 2 feet away from any gold coins and say it's over there, Barb.
yeah, let's do that. If you find one in Florida, it's probably going to be chocolate on the inside, but we'll make sure you get a gold coin.
Yeah, your chances might just be better of finding an Indian, Barb.
Yeah, how about them Indians, Barb? You want?
Hey, I'll take. If I could go and find nothing but that and win the bet, not that I'm probably going to get 2 Indians for it or something. It's been a great bet, and it's been a long bet, but it'll be great. I think we'll find some things that we're not expecting to find.
I agree. I think it's going to be an outstanding hunt.
Nice. Very good.
But Barb,
right,
I wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank you for that picture and the mermaid, and it's beautiful, and you do outstanding work. And I look forward to seeing you in February, and it'll be just a great time.
Great. And I have a Facebook page made by Barb. You can check out my stuff. You know, Christmas is coming. I can ship overnight.
Absolutely.
Don't forget the Christmas Kids giveaway. And Mark Hoover, if your stuff don't get here in the next day or two, he's actually like, can I send you another package? I'm like, Mark, what part of it's going to be here by the 10th? Do you not understand? But I told him I would accept it late as there's strawberry jam in it.
Well, just make sure to tell him if it doesn't show up by the 10th, that delivery truck of pull tabs is getting sent to his house.
You got that right.
Mike said, I don't need an expensive machine to find an Indian. Well, Mike, the people here are dirt poor. There just aren't that many to find.
Hey, I'll
Right.
tell you, Mike does awesome with his machines.
Yeah, I mean, either it's there or it's not. I mean, at the lumber company, I've dug probably 400 nails because the soil's so hot. It's like I dig every halfway decent and some bad signals. That's how I found the 2 engines. I'm like, it sounds good enough, but it's not that good, but it's good enough I'm going to dig it. And it was an engine and a Chinese coin.
You just got to get your coil over it.
Yeah, so it isn't that I'm not finding them. It's because they're not here.
Right.
Right. Well, I guess we'll be seeing plenty of those handed out during the giveaway, I'm sure.
Indians, yeah. Mark sent 10. I didn't give any of my tribe away. I'm sorry. No, I did. Oops, I can't say that. It's part of a contest. I might have given 1 or 2 away.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, and so I'm still making my contest list. So if anybody has any great contest that you would love to make people do, PM me. Because I got some great ones, but I'd like a few more hilarious ones.
Well, there you go.
Then you need to sign up and play for your kids. I mean, even if you don't want to play for a detector, there's 80 million other prizes up for grabs.
I believe he's got 2 of his grandkids entered.
Yeah, I do. I have 2 granddaughters in it right now, Barb.
Okay, well, my spreadsheet's so long that I forgot who's at the top. I can only tell you who's at the bottom.
167 kids at last check.
Yeah. And I
Very
think
cool.
we're up to about 80 prizes.
It's going to be a
Nice.
great weekend next weekend.
It sure is.
No, it's not. It isn't. Because y'all going to be sitting at home laughing while I've got 2 computers and a tablet and a phone going and trying to cook dinner and keep my mind sane. I'm going to buy like a case of beer for next weekend.
There you go. Maybe we'll see Barb standing on her head doing the truffle shuffle.
There you go.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
All right. Well, good luck with it. Hey, look at it this way. You know you're going to make a lot of kids happy this weekend. It's going to be a great time.
Yes, it is.
It is, and we have a secret Santa at work, and I have one resident who every time you go metal detecting this weekend, Barb. I'm like, I'm going to Virginia to go digging. What did you find? He tried to friend me on Facebook. I'm like, you can't friend me. I take care of you.
Right, probably
And
not a
so
good idea.
Yeah, so I put together a gem case filled with coins and bullets for him. I'm his secret for Christmas.
Oh, nice. He'll appreciate that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So thanks for having me. I can't wait to meet y'all. Josh, I will meet you one day. One day. Probably going to meet first, but that's the way it goes. So,
Well,
y'all-
I'm kind of like Ohio Relic Hunter. We're like UFOs and Bigfoot. You hear stories of them, but there's rarely sightings.
Right.
All right. Well, thanks for the call, Barb.
Thank you, Barb. All
night.
right, good night.
And I guess with that, I'll give you a couple of minutes if you'd like to let people know where to find you, and we'll get on out of here, Ken.
Well, I'm with Central Florida Metal Detecting Club, and we're located on DeBerry on High Banks Avenue, and it's the second Friday of the month. So if anybody is in Central Florida and wants to come by and meet a great bunch of people, everybody's welcome. And I hope to see everybody over there.
Well said. Well said. Okay, well, thanks again for taking the time to sit in with us tonight. Hang in there with me for a few minutes, and we'll get on out of here. So for everybody else, that was Ken Arrington down there in Florida. He's soaking up that nice weather. I'll see if I can talk to him after the show and get him to ship some of it our direction, because I'm sure it's much better than what we've got here in Ohio. But definitely great to hear from Ken. The information he had to share, it's been an absolute pleasure, and we're very glad he was able to take the time to sit down with us tonight. For everyone else, if you enjoyed the show, make sure and throw us a like. You can follow us on Spreaker, iHeart, iTunes, Beyond Sight and Sound on Facebook, the Metal Detecting Beyond Sight and Sound Facebook group, Dirt Pirates, Ohio Metal Detecting on YouTube. We're all over the place out there. Join us on one of them, all of them, or none of them. The choice is entirely up to you. In the meantime, you can check out the Big Box giveaway video on YouTube, B3 Relic Recovery, the XP Massive Detector giveaway on their YouTube channel, and the Great Metal Detecting Christmas giveaway for kids ages 5 to 15 on Facebook. We will be closing membership midnight Wednesday, and we will remind you about that again come Wednesday. Until the next one, we gotta roll. We gotta get out of here. Not saying you gotta go home, but you can't stay here. Have a wonderful evening, folks. We'll see you on the pages.